When God created the world, he had a very, very special creation. He created the sun, moon, and stars. He created the land and the sea and the animals and all those things. And then at the end of his creation, the culmination of the great climax of everything God was doing in creating the world, he created man in his image and in his likeness. In other words, God created children. And that's what God has always wanted. He's wanted a family. He's wanted children. That's the point of the gospel. That's the point of everything God is trying to do, is to bring together this great family, to bring many sons to glory. Of course, you know the problem. Once God had these children on earth, they turned against him. They chose another father, the devil. And they turned away and they ate the fruit and they left God's home. And then they started killing each other. His children killed each other. Brothers killed each other. And people were selfish and abusive. And it got so bad at one point that God was sorry he even created the world. And he decided that he had to start all over. And he only had one little set of his family left that even cared about him or thought about anybody in a good way at all. And then later on, after that, after he thought things got better, his children messed up again at a tower called Babel, and they were disobeying their father who had told them to populate the earth and to have dominion over the whole earth, but instead they gathered together and congregated in one little place, which wasn't the plan that their father had for them. And they decided, we'll build a tower to heaven and we'll be something great. But they already were. They had been made in the image of God. God was their father, and yet they weren't satisfied with that. And so the father had to break them up, and so he gave them all different languages and divided them all across the land. When you read Genesis chapters 3 through 11, you see this fatherly influence of God and the relationship he had with mankind. But it seems kind of harsh, doesn't it? I mean, he drove people out of the Garden of Eden. He allowed people to be cursed after they made mistakes, like when Cain killed Abel. He destroyed the world in a flood in the days of Noah. And then at the Tower of Babel, when everybody was getting together, God broke them apart. Sometimes we read these stories and think, man, God is pretty harsh with people sometimes. As a father, right? Maybe in your own life you think God's kind of harsh with you sometimes. Maybe when you read the Bible and you see the things that God as your Father instructs you to do, you think, that I don't want to do that. That's painful. That's difficult. That's not something I want to be a part of. Why is that? Hebrews chapter 12 tells us that we need to understand that God as our Father, as we learn to know him better, we need to know the purpose of what he's doing as our Father. Hebrews 12 and verse 7 says, it is for discipline that you have to endure. In other words, the things that may seem kind of harsh, you have to go through that so that you can be disciplined, because God is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom his father does not discipline? And if you are left without discipline in which all have participated, then you are illegitimate children and not sons. Besides this, we had earthly fathers who disciplined us as seemed best to them, and we respected them. Shall we not much more be subject to the Father of spirits and live? For they disciplined us for a short time as it seemed best to them, but he disciplines us for our good, that we may share his holiness. For the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. All of God's work, and we're going to see this as we keep going and know more of God as we look through this story. But even all the difficult things God did in the long ago and the difficult things that he puts us through today, they're not because he's just mad at us and he's just trying to be mean or something. He's trying to change us. He's trying to discipline us so that we can really, really, really be his children, so that we can share his holiness, so that we can know more of our God, and so that we can be people who are reaching upward together toward heaven.